Excited to have you guys here for this event. And we have some really cool stuff happening. So today I'm going to talk to you about my secret AI podcast research bot. So with my podcast, I have guests all the time. Today I had 4 guests back to back. And I've always wanted to know how these big shows do their research. Before I get into that, please type the word workshop into the comments so that I know that you like this type of video, because a lot of the content I've done in the past has been just talking. But I'm going to share the screen on this one and actually show you my bots in action and show you how to build your own bots and how you can kind of accomplish real human tasks. And I want to know if this type of content is useful to you. So if I don't get any comments, then I'm going to know I'm going to go back to the other style. I'm going to go just less informational and keep that behind the paywall. So your action here makes a huge difference. So if you want to see more content like this, then just hit the word workshop. Put it into the comments. That helps me a lot. So what we're going to talk about is what the bot does. I'll show you what the bot kind of does. Then I'll do an actual walkthrough demonstration in a real time. And then I'm going to answer questions at the end. I'm going to keep this under 20 minutes because your time is very, very valuable. So I want to get right into it. Let me show you everything right out the gate. So this is the AI version of my bot, Patrick Roberts AI. When I name my bots, I give them names that I can remember. This is my podcast research, so PR, and then AI, because this is for my AI podcast. I have a generic version of Patrick Roberts we're also going to work with for other people to use that I share with my customers in my cyber staffing agency program. But I'm going to show you everything right here. I'm not going to put anything behind a paywall. So let me show you what happens. As soon as I load them up, this is the automated question. So you click one button, it says, "Hey, Patrick, I'm a new guest. I want to research for my show, the Artificial Intelligence Podcast. Talk about what my focus is." And I say, "Hey, I'm looking for 20 to 25 questions. I'm going to give you a piece of information. You give me 20, 25 questions each." And he goes, "Great." So the first thing I do, and this is a guest earlier today who was amazing, and I just put in her name of her website, transformers.academy. Okay, that's all I did today. I clicked one button, then I pasted that in. And you look at this, he gives me 25 questions. How do you identify the need for Transformers Academy in your market? Can you walk through the initial challenges of developing an AI-driven platform? So what's magical about this is not each individual question, because I'm going to have my own opinion based on these, right? I'm going to choose from these 15 questions. I'm going to go, oh, this question I used. I think I used 2 of these in the interview, which is coming out in a couple of weeks. But it gives me so much information so quickly. And the purpose of this is to replace those bookers and pre-interview people that those really expensive television shows have, where they interview someone, ask a bunch of questions, and then they give the host the note cards. These are the note cards. So instead of having to read someone's entire book, go through their website, look at their social media presence, I can just look at batches of 15, 20, or 25 questions, pick 2 or 3 that are interesting to me, and move on to the next piece of data. So let me give you one more example here, which is, what if the guest has a book? Now, today's guest wasn't able to send me the book in time to do this, so I'm going to use my own book as an example. And here's what the process actually looks like. So I load up a new one. This is Patrick Roberts, because this is one of my non-AI books I'm going to use. I'm going to use Fire Your Boss, which you can get for free on Amazon or whatever you want. It's my permanently free book. And we hit a couple of walls, and this is what I want to show you is my process. First, I tried to just upload the PDF, and he said, "Oh, I can't access it. It won't work right." Then I tried doing Dropbox. Same problem, says I can't access it due to restrictions. It's not actually true. There's just something wrong with the way ChatGPT works, that because if you guys copy and paste that link, you'll get the book. You can get the book. That's why I used my free book there. So then what I did is I opened up another chat with a bot called AI Drive. And I uploaded the book to AI Drive's area. I quickly logged in using my Google account. I don't have the pro account, didn't do anything paid. This is my first time using this, so it's a clean use. I uploaded it, and then I just copied the link. This is where the magic happens. This is where the magic that I talked about last week, which is GPTs talking to GPTs. So I just said, at AI PDF, can you bring this PDF in conversation? And then I use their link. And that's what's magical here. So now in this conversation, it's me, my podcast researcher, and AI PDF. And AI PDF says it pulls it in, right? So I stopped it from responding because I go, that's great. There were some glitches here. I kept hitting stop, and I said, "Are you limited to 51 pages?" It said, "No, give me some information." It started generating questions for me. And Patrick Roberts also generated questions. So you can see here, he was generating questions. For some reason, when I reload the page, it's not showing it. I'm going to show you a real example. So what we have here is 2 things happening. One, we have one GPT that's able to pull in a large PDF that's too large to upload to OpenAI, to the regular Chat GPT, to vanilla Chat GPT. And we have a podcast researcher generating all the questions, doing all the hard work. So process, right? For me to read a book and come with 25 questions, well, that's a couple hours of work at least. Maybe it's an entire day's work. The longer the book is, the more work it's going to be to go through everything, right? But the ability to have an expert on my show who I can train on my show do that for me, let me show you it in action. So I've just loaded this up very simply. Let's copy the link to this. So I'm going to copy the link. Okay. And all I've done is activate Patrick Roberts because I didn't want to make you guys wait for that. In order to activate our second bot, I'm going to hit the @ every bot I've ever spoken to, every GPT. You can see tons of my GPTs are in here. Not all of the GPTs I've created because I have used that my second account. This is my main account. This is my personal account, not my customer facing account. My customer facing account has hundreds in it, so it's a lot more distracting. And I can see the most recent one I talked to is right here. Now I tried to ask your PDF and it wouldn't let me upload a book over 100 pages. I don't have time for that. So I just use AI PDF for the first time today. And I'll just say, please bring this PDF into the conversation. Notice that I'm talking to Patrick Roberts, right? So this is the non-AI version. I'm going to click load or submit my prompt. And now it's scanning the PDF and bringing it into this chat. So it says starting action and it's going to ask for authorization. So whenever a GPT accesses something outside, it asks for permission. And if you're not logged in, you'll have to log in for the first time. I created a free account and you can see now it's talking to the PDF because it's stored on another site. And the initial response will always be based on the first 51 pages. That doesn't mean it limits itself. It does actually look at the entire book and I can ask it to use the entire book. And you can see right out the gate, it's asking good questions. What was the biggest obstacle you faced when transitioning from a traditional job to earning passive income and how did you overcome it? How do you measure success in your business? How has this evolved from early days as an entrepreneur? I know what my book is about. And these are really, really good questions. I wish when I was interviewed on a podcast, they would ask me these questions. That's how I measure this. Most people are skeptical of the feasibility of earning a passive income. How do you address this skepticism? I like this question. I've never been asked any of these questions, and I've been on well north of 100 interviews for podcasts. I've been on more than 100 podcasts in the last 6 months. How do you stay innovative and ensure your businesses adapt to changing market trends? What impact do you hope Fireboss will have on its readers? And what's the key takeaway you want them to have? These questions some of these are a little bit generic. They're a little bit broad. They're not super specific. Some of them are very specific. Like it talks about my soccer junior varsity coach early on. And I can even switch. So this is me talking to AI bots. So I can switch back to Patrick Roberts and say, most of this prompt here saying, please generate questions based on the book Fireboss is making sure it knows which PDF I'm talking about because I'm jumping back and forth between the two bots. And because I'm doing this live, I want to make sure that it actually works. And guys, if you find this demonstration useful, please put the word workshop in the chat. That lets me know that you guys are finding this useful, that you're finding this educational, that this is streaming correctly because this is my first time doing a screen share. I want to make sure that it works. And I want you to see how much smarter Patrick is than AI PDF. Because look at his questions. Jonathan, you've shared a transformative journey from feeling undervalued to discovering your true potential. Can you share a pivotal moment that sparked your decision to fire boss and pursue a path of income? See how it's starting to throw in like my name and it's trying to give a longer form of question that seems more personal. So it's being a little bit more advanced and it's mixing this up. What was your biggest doubt starting out? How'd you overcome it? You can see that they're really working together in tandem. So a lot of these questions are very similar to the ones that came in the previous version. So when we combine these two GPTs together, we can get massive results and really generate something very, very cool. And this is because last week they released this ability to speak to multiple GPTs in a single conversation. The most common question I got was, how is this useful? And I hope that you can see that this is just the tip of something absolutely amazing. Because that question already came in. Why is this useful, this ability? So there's two things that I've showed you here. Now, again, just want to remind you guys, if you put the word profits into the chat box, you'll get a free copy of my book, ChatGPT Profits. I'm giving that away right now just for my special people on LinkedIn. This is something very, very special to share with you guys. So the more active you guys are in the chat, the more conversational you are, the more of this content I'll do. So there is a relationship between us because your actions affect my actions. So this is really important. Again, put the word profits in the chat. Let's get back to it. So this means that I can connect different skills and different experts because I have a bot that's just really good at podcast research. I have a separate bot that does the show notes. I have a separate bot that writes my YouTube descriptions than the one who writes my podcast show notes because it's a different skill, slightly different. Imagine, for example, you're doing a project where you have to watch a YouTube video and convert it into a blog post. In the past, you'd go through the process of creating a transcription, pulling it into a chat, having one GPT break it down into notes, and then another one create it into a blog post. It'd be multiple steps. What this really does is minimize the number of steps in complicated processes. So for something really basic, it's not going to make a difference. If you're just responding to an email, there's not a lot of moving parts. But as soon as you have several steps in a process or several different areas of your brain it kind of activates, right? The analytical part, then the creative part, that's where the magic happens. And I want that to get you guys really excited because this is a new capability that very few people are paying attention to. It's the most important development inside of ChatGPT, probably since GPT-4 even came out. I would say it's much more powerful than any other feature I've seen, and only a few people are talking about it, and most people haven't quite cottoned on. And the ability to go from mastery to mastery, right? The whole thing I've done, the whole thing I'm doing, creating with GPTs, which I call cyber staffers, was developing that ability to generate expertise. Now to jump from expertise to expertise without having to manually pull information from one conversation to another, which always something gets lost in translation. To have one GPT create the notes and another GPT write the copy. Now, here's another area where this is going to get really, really interesting is when you want to get multiple versions. So in the past, I would say write in the style of X copywriter, Y copywriter, Z copywriter. Now I can actually pull in my copywriter prompts and say, hey, rewrite this in your style. What do you think of this? And now the different copywriters can actually see the work of the previous person and build on top of it. Because normally I'll have my original block. Copywriter A writes based on that block. Copywriter B writes on that. Copywriter C writes based on it. But if I can do them in a row, B looks at the work of A, modifies it. C looks at the work of B and modifies it. That means I can start to create really powerful stuff.